Earthbound. I know about it, you probably don't know about it, or if you do know about it. The game wasn't released for like 13. The last game was like 13 years ago. And yeah. Ugly. And that's why we have the thing called YouTube. Actually, there's this one person that I watch. Yeah, you probably haven't heard of them because they're pretty obscure, but they're very on the Earthbound 64. It's pretty weird, but even though, yeah, we're gonna go watch some of it, not all of it, but here's my opinion on Earthbound 64 before. It's lagging so much.
An environment more of day-to-day life. Gone were the likes of swords and shields, and in their place were baseball bats and frying pans. In fact, the staff working at Nintendo were so excited about the experience that they had created for the Super Famicom that work would commence on a sequel to the game for the upcoming Ultra 64 way before the title had even hit the major North American markets. This in turn would mean that the game's planned successor would be amongst the very early games announced for the 64-bit platform. I am Lady Decade, and this is the story of Earthbound 64, the unreleased Earthbound sequel. To get full context,
It's good that it was unreleased.
We need to head all the way back to 1989 to a gentleman known as Shigesato Itsuki.
1989? Nah.
A well-known professional copywriter, essayist, and famed television personality who would branch out and establish his own video game development known as Ape Inc. to help make Nintendo games. He would direct and design his first game that year, simply known as Mother, where he would work alongside the legendary Shigeru Miyamoto, who would function as
He's not a legend, he's a
the game tells the story
god
of
at
Ken, a 12-year-old
Mario.
boy from the town of Podunk who travels across America using his psychic powers, collecting medals to save humanity from an evil alien race. Now, if you are wondering where Mother popped up from, well, Izoi was a massive fan of the Beatles. So was named the game John Lennon's song This particular track moved Itoy, and he felt he wanted to move people himself with his game in the same way. You see, Itoy's father was absent for much of his life, so Ninten's father would be represented as no more than a voice at the end of a telephone, an idea that would later be carried over and reused in Earthbound. If you are already familiar with Earthbound, the game brings along a similar concept, just in a much more rudimentary 8-bit capacity. Sadly, despite being translated into English and set for a 1991 release, the game never saw a release in other regions that year. This has been put down to a combination of marketing and financial issues, paired with the release of the more powerful 16-bit Super Nintendo system, thus meaning that the game would never ever appear on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Basically, the game was released exclusively in Japan, very much like certain kinds of tentacle videos and vending machines dispensing used women's underwear. Japan is a very silly place.
The heck?
Still, despite being isolated to Japan, the game managed to shift 400,000 copies, and readers of Japanese gaming magazine Famitsu placed the title in their top 10 greatest Famicom games of all time list. With this popularity and the Super Nintendo now here, a sequel was inevitable, which of course brings us to Earthbound, the game that would be published as Mother 2 in Japan. This
The heck is that dude? He looks like somebody from...
marketed overseas.
Oh no.
Well, in North America at least, with the video game even receiving its own $2 million promotional and marketing campaign where it would be sardonically
I'm making a video, so
this game
please.
stinks. The video game would be sold in a huge box with a detailed walkthrough guide being included, with Itoy hoping that this additional hand-holding would result in the title reaching non-gamers too. To help aid this, many aspects
Nah,
of the
bro,
game
try to
were
smoke
given
that
an intentional, unique,
joint.
goofy tone, with even the strategy guide coming with a disgusting scratch and sniff panels to further emphasize this marketing angle.
Why did it come with that?
It smells like Bigfoot. So, with all this money and energy being pumped into making the game a success, then you would hope that the game would sell well. Sadly for Itoy and Nintendo,
It
though,
sells really well.
as although the title shifted 510,000 units in Japan, in the United States, where most of the marketing budget was spent, they would only manage to shift 140,000 copies
Which
to a
was
much
sad.
larger marketplace. It wasn't just sales that were bad either. The game was critically panned by most gaming journalists of 1995 too, who would ridicule the game's simplistic graphics compared to the likes of titles of what was already becoming available on the Sony PlayStation and Sega Saturn. Still, before all of these Western marketing blunders had even taken place, development on the next Earthbound or Mother game had begun regardless. In fact, while we know of the canned Earthbound 64, what many may not realise is that development on a sequel began so swiftly that plans were immediately put in place for the game to see yet another Super Nintendo entry. In this lost era,
When
this
it was
version of the
literally
game
first
being
released
planned
on
to
the Super
feature
Nintendo.
pre-rendered graphics, like what can be found in the likes of Donkey Kong Country, which makes a lot of sense considering that DKC would become the second best-selling Super Nintendo game ever made. You could say that
Try
Donkey Kong
want
was top
the one that made.
banana, or second place banana at least. Nintendo 64
Nah, bro.
disk drive to allow
That was
for
not
bigger
a good
games with more
thing.
storage. Now, we already mentioned last week how problematic it would have been for Square to develop a Final Fantasy game on Nintendo's cartridge-based hardware, and with the mother team being in a similar position, it would be decided that Earthbound 64 would be developed for the Nintendo 64 DD in order to be able to make it as big a game as possible. In fact, all the
Disk
Nintendo
drive.
games of the period were planned for release for this add-on hardware, including the iconic Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time game. Itoy would look to Super Mario 64 as one of his game's main inspirations, with the game featuring an impressive 3D world, the likes of which he
But it
had never
looks
seen.
ugly. It looks ugly. Like we're gonna go off this video for a second. I'm gonna show you how ugly the game looks. Like this game looks so ugly. Turn this on. But this game looks ugly. Ew! Why do they look like they have a slit eyebrow? Their hairline looks ugly. This sound effects look trash. He's been smoking in the bathroom for 60 seconds. Look at this game. Like some these aspects go in the actual Mario 3 trailer. Oh, look at this ugly game. Like, look at this. And tell me how ugly this is. Look at it. Now I'm gonna show you the Mother 3 trailer that was oh, I'm so sorry, guys. That was released. Mother 3 trailer. It was only a little bit similar. Actually, it wasn't even similar at all. The heck? What the heck? It's the exact same thing. Like, it's the exact same music and everything. Look at this. Ugly old man. Ugly old dude with stupid face. And he looks like he just crapped himself. I'm just done. I am just dumb. Done, I meant. Bye, guys. Bye.